BoogeyMan band coming round the bend. Is BoogeyMan band? Is BoogeyMan band?
Greetings, fellow Fright Fiends, and thanks so much for stopping by the Horror Zone channel. I hope everyone's doing well. Today's video is going to be a Salem's Lot franchise ranking. Now I know it's pretty much 3 adaptations of King's 1975 novel. There was also I don't really want to call it a sequel because it's pretty much a sequel in name only, but there was Larry Cohen's follow-up to the 79 miniseries, and that was A Return to Salem's Lot, which came out in 1987. So I thought it'd be kind of fun since the new Salem's Lot is now out officially. I'm recording this on October 4th. The film dropped on Max on October the 3rd, which was yesterday. So, you know, people are now seeing the film, and it's getting raked over the coals by some and praised by others. People that just want a simple vampire flick are actually really enjoying the new film. I've actually seen some really strong reviews coming from people, and then I've also seen the people that really wanted a faithful 100% adaptation of the 1975 novel, labeling it as a complete waste of time, and some other choice words that I'm even getting on my review that I posted last week. And as I've said before, that was my opinion of it. I am much closer to the 1979 miniseries than I am the novel, even though I do love the novel. It is my favorite book of all time. I love the novel, but the miniseries is what I grew up with, and I love that miniseries. And when I went in to watch the new Salem's Lot, it's 2024 by Gary Dauberman. I put the 79 miniseries to the side because it is the gold standard for me. Nothing can touch it. So I just went into the new film just hoping to be entertained, hoping to just sort of be brought into this world again, looking at it with a different lens, with a different director, different writer. And I really enjoyed it, and I stand by my critique of the film. I will be doing a spoiler-free review. I'm still figuring out how I'm going to do that, if I'm going to do that with my Salem's Lot brothers, Salem's Lot minority, that being Danny and Sam. We're still figuring that out. We do have a special Salem's Lot video that we're working on for early next week. Don't want to talk about it right now, but people will be pleasantly surprised when it does debut. For today, I just thought I would just go through and rank them, and I'm going to rank them from best to worst because people know what my favorite is, so I'm not going to go into a lot of detail on my favorite. But in talking about all of these, number one for me should be no surprise that people that know my channel. Number one is the original Salem's Lot from 1979, directed by Toby Hooper, written by Paul Monish, of course, starring David Soul, James Mason, Lance Kerwin, Bonnie Bedelia, Jeffrey Lewis, Kenneth McMillan, Reggie Nalder. Just a masterpiece. Nothing more that I haven't already said about it over the years. It's my favorite movie of all time, always will be. Nothing can unseat it. I don't care how great any adaptation that's come since or will come after this recent one. You can't redo what's already perfect, in my opinion. I know there's some people that would disagree with me, some people that think they didn't get everything that was in the novel, that key to it being a faithful adaptation. But for me, that miniseries is perfect. That's what I grew up on. That's what made me a fan of the characters and the story. And as I did read the book in full for the first time when I was 13 years old, the miniseries is gold to me, and nothing can ever touch it. And it's even, in my opinion, better than Stephen King's book because I grew up loving it. Number one for me will always be that 1979 miniseries. It is perfect and always will be in my eyes. Now, number two for me is going to be the newest adaptation of Stephen King's novel, and that is the brand new Salem's Lot that was written and directed by Gary Dauberman, starring Louis Pullman, Bill Camp, Mackenzie Lee, Jordan Preston Carter, Pilo Asbeek, William Sadler, Alexander Ward. Yeah, I mean, I'm getting some of the hate from it. I've been seeing it in some of my comments on some of my videos. It's fine, you know, if you don't like it, you don't like it. I didn't do my review for anybody but myself. I put that out there saying how I really felt about it. Yes, I did think some things were rushed. Yes, I didn't think it all was perfect. It has been condensed. That's why it does feel choppy in spots. I did find out from an interview with Gary Dauberman that there is a 3-hour cut. A lot of the ghost story elements were cut out of the film, and that was, again, a call from the studio. So a lot of bad choices on the studio's part. part. I'm hoping that one day we will get that 3-hour cut. And since I've already really talked about the film in a non-spoiler fashion, I'm not going to reiterate everything that I talked about, but I do think people should give it a chance. I have had a few people come back to me and said they watched it a second time and enjoyed it more. But I do think they did a lot of great things in this movie, one being the atmosphere. I think it's very scary in spots. The music is great. I really just love some of the acting in it. You know, Lewis Pullman was fine as Ben Mears. Nothing's going to touch David Soul for me, but I think he did a great job in the role, for being my second favorite performance in that role. For me, Jordan Preston Carter stole the movie. I also really like Bill Camp, which I didn't talk about in my review, unfortunately, but I really, and I was mad that I didn't mention him, but Bill Camp was awesome. He's probably my second favorite performance in the film. But I also thought Pilo Asbeek did great as Straker. He played him very differently. Some people are not really jiving with that. And I thought Alexander Ward was great as Barlow. So I thought it worked. Yes, I wanted it to be longer. Yes, I think it should have been a miniseries, or it should have been 2 movies like they did with It Chapter 1 and Chapter 2, but they didn't do it that way. And people can judge for themselves. Again, my review is my own. I didn't tell anybody how to feel about it. Watch it, judge for yourself. These last two films, The Return to Salem's Lot and Salem's Lot 2004, could be tied, but if I have to be honest, there's still a tiny bit of enjoyment I get out of the 2004 adaptation. So number 3 for me is going to be that film. Rewatching it again, I still have so many problems with it though. I do appreciate Rob Lowe a little bit more watching it again. When I last did a review on it in 2019, I said that I just didn't like him as Ben Mears. I still am not crazy about him in the role. I feel like he's a little too robotic in the role, and I think Rob Lowe has some terrific comic timing. I think he's a terrific dramatic actor as well, but I just didn't buy him as Ben Mears. He's just too wooden, and for me, it just didn't work. Donald Sutherland, unfortunately, who did pass away, I was never really a big fan of him, and I just hated him as Straker. There's a lot of people that are saying Pilo Asbeek is the worst, has done the worst depiction of Straker, but I preferred his over Donald Sutherland. I hated Donald Sutherland in the role. I don't know why. I thought he was goofy. He just didn't work for me. He wasn't menacing. And I know the character is different in the novel than James Mason had played him. And I felt like Pilo almost did like a hybrid version of that, and it just worked better for me. So yeah, I wasn't a fan of Donald Sutherland. Dan Bird, who played Mark Petrie, I still appreciate him. I'm not crazy about the depiction of him and the Glick Boys. They're just like these punk teenagers. Again, this being set in the early aughts, so it's not a callback to 1975 or 1979. This is set in present time when the miniseries originally aired. The other, I think, poor casting choice, and I miss him greatly, was Andre Braugher as Matt Burke. I didn't really care for him in that role, and I didn't like the confrontation that he had with Ben Mears. That was something I didn't really care for, the way that they were depicted. It just loved Samantha Mathis, but her and Rob Lowe's chemistry was just non-existent. I didn't buy her as Susan Norton. I didn't buy that they were interested in each other. I think James Cromwell is the strongest in this film. I love him as Father Callahan. Every time he was on screen, I was interested just because of how great of an actor he is. Rutger Hauer did fine as Barlow, but this depiction of Barlow for me works in the book and not the miniseries. For me, I love the Nosferatu. That to me is scary, and that's what I grew up with. Now, if I had read the book first, maybe that would have been off-putting to me, but I love that depiction of Barlow, and I love that in the new film, it's a hybrid of what's in the book and what was in that original miniseries. So I really like that they did that. I think it was a smart idea. Also, the look of this film and the music and everything, it just comes across as made-for-TV movie. It seems more soap opera-ish. It's not scary at all. There's not one scary moment in this film. But yeah, in the end, it was just a big disappointment for me. There's so many elements in this movie that just don't work, and they don't age well. And yeah, so it has to be almost dead last on my list here. But there's one film that's way, way worse, and that is the pseudo-sequel, A Return to Salem's Lot, by the late Larry Cohen. So Cohen had previously written a screenplay for the 1979 Salem's Lot miniseries that had been rejected by Warner Brothers. at the time. Years later, the studio approached Cohen to write and direct a low-budget feature for them. He proposed a sequel to Salem's Lot. While writing the screenplay, Cohen was inspired by Thornton Wilder's play Our Town and sought to rework familiar tropes of the vampire film, presenting the vampires as typical Americans descended from Europe, having fled their native country to establish a colony in America in the 1600s. The plot for this film revolves around Joe Weber, who is an anthropologist who takes his son on a trip to New England town of Salem's Lot, unaware that it is populated by vampires. When the inhabitants reveal their secret, they ask Joe to write a Bible for them. The movie starred Michael Moriarty as Joe Weber, Samuel Fuller as Dr. Van Meer, Andrew Dugan as Judge Axel, Ricky Addison Reed as Jeremy, Evelyn Keyes as Mrs. Axel, and Tara Reid as Amanda. To say that I hate this movie would be an understatement. Now, I did give it another chance back in 2020, the pandemic. I decided to rewatch it. I actually bought it on DVD. I do have it on Blu-ray too because Scream Factory put it out on Blu-ray. And I am a completist, and I do love the poster. It's the best part of the movie is the poster, but it's a complete fake out. Look at that poster and you see Barlow on it, and he's hovering over the town. And Barlow is not in this film. None of the characters or the situations or any type of continuity from that original miniseries have anything to do with this film. This film is just name only, and Michael Moriarty is one of my least favorite actors of all time. No disrespect, but I just cannot stand him, and it's because this was the first thing I remember watching him in. This movie is just, it's almost like a dark comedy. And the character of Van Meer is pretty cool. I do love the cinematography, which was done by Dan Pearl. And he, of course, did Texas Chainsaw Massacre. He even did the remake of Texas Chainsaw Massacre in 2003, the Marcus Nispel Platinum Dunes one. And then I also really enjoyed the music. And Michael Menard would do the music for the film. It just has a very fairy tale sound to it. But that's it. I remember watching this film for the first time, summer of '88. When I was 14 years old, I remember seeing it in a magazine that there was a sequel to Salem's Lot. And I remember telling the woman that I knew at a video store that I really wanted to see it. She had it in stock. My mom rented it. I remember watching it and going, what is this? Because it just was so different in tone. There was no continuity from the original film, and just its execution was laughable. It's really just more of a comedy than a horror film. And like I said, it's so off-putting the way that it was marketed, and it's always left a sour taste in my mouth. And even when I look at it today, just looking at the cover, it pisses me off. But I'm a completist, that's why I have it. It's just such a disappointment when you watch that original miniseries and then hope that there could have been some type of continuation of those stories. Of Mark and Ben on the run from the vampires that survived the town burning in Salem's Lot. It would have been fantastic, but we didn't get it. But yeah, this last film is just absolutely horrible. Some people might enjoy it. Check it out for yourselves, but I absolutely hate it. And it's sad that I actually own copies of it, despite hating it so much. But what can I say? I'm a completist. I like the cover, so it was worth just having on the shelf with all the other Salem's Lot releases. But yeah, it's a painful one for me to get through, so I doubt I'll probably ever watch it again. But that's going to be it. I just thought it'd be kind of fun to talk about all of the films that are tied into Salem's Lot. I hope everyone enjoyed this. Let me know how you would rank the films down in the comment section below. Would love to hear from everyone. And as always, thanks so much for stopping by the Horror Zone channel. I hope everyone's doing well. Talk to you again real soon. Take it easy. Stay scared as always. And remember, you can do nothing against the master. Peace. Hey, my fellow Fright Fiends, I just want to thank everyone for supporting BoogeyMan Ben's Horror Zone. If you haven't yet subscribed and you'd like to, please hit the subscribe button down below. Click the bell notification so you're updated every time I drop a new video. I try to drop a video at least once or twice a week. The Horror Zone is a passion of mine, and it really makes me happy that I can share that passion with all of you guys. Thanks so much again for the support, and I'll talk to you again real soon. Take it easy. Stay scared as always.